Mr. Duncan, can you please tell us, is there a difference between the word trash and rubbish? Well, in fact, there are quite a few differences between these words. Quite often people will ask about the differences in the uses between American English and British English, and you would be right to do so because there are differences. For example, trash is used in American English, so quite often you will hear the word trash used when we talk about things that people are throwing away, things that people don't need anymore, things that people throw out, the things that they don't want. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, there are many different types of trash. So trash is often used in American English, whilst rubbish is often used in British English. So we will often use the term rubbish, the noun rubbish, to talk about the things we throw out, the things we don't want. In American English, they will often say trash. So there is a difference between those two words. In American English, you might also hear the word garbage used. You might also be fascinated to know that we do use it in British English as well. So quite often we will use garbage if we are referring to something that is not good or something that is terrible. We might say that something is garbage. So garbage is often used in American English besides trash. Here in British English, we will use rubbish, but also we will sometimes use garbage as well when we are describing something that is not very good. For example, Mr. Duncan's live streams are garbage. Please don't say that, because I will cry a lot. The general word for unwanted waste is refuse. Now you might notice something very interesting about that particular word, because it does look like the word refuse, and that's because it is the same word. However, when we are talking about things we throw away, we use refuse. So we throw our rubbish out. We throw out the things that we don't want. The things we throw out are often referred to as refuse. The things that we don't want, the things we don't need. Household waste, such as rotten food and packaging, are often described as refuse. The things we don't want, the things we don't need, are described as refuse. So perhaps maybe that particular word could cause a little bit of confusion. Maybe it does sometimes. These days, much of the packaging is divided or separated for recycling. So it is common these days, when we are throwing things out, we will often divide them into different categories of refuse, especially things that can be recycled, such as glass, plastic, and also cardboard and paper. So it isn't unusual these days, even though some people think it is a waste of time, because apparently, and I didn't realise this until I did a little bit of research, and I found out that a lot of the things we throw out and we put aside as recycling are not recycled. They are still thrown away. Can you believe it? So I was quite surprised to hear that. The things thrown away are put into containers. So whenever we throw anything out, quite often we will put it into a certain type of container. you can see here the background for today's lesson is actually a container we can use to put our rubbish in. This particular type of container, and of course there are many others as well, can be described as a can, bin, receptacle. Now that's a very interesting word, because receptacle is a general term for anything that you can put something in. Container is another one. So you might put your recyclable material into a container. Also, there is another word called skip. So that is a skip, a very large container that is used for putting rubbish in. And finally, we have dumpster. I will show you more clearly what I mean. So there you can see a trash can. In American English, this particular thing will be referred to as a trash can. Trash can. However, in British English, we will often call this a dustbin. Trash can is in American English. Dustbin is British English. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, we have dumpster. Dumpster. It is a large container used for putting lots of big, heavy things into. Things that we can't lift or carry or take away by ourselves. Dumpster. So this particular term is often used in American English. You will often hear Americans, people living in the US, refer to this as a dumpster. Here in England, good old British English, we refer to this particular thing as a skip. So basically they are the same thing, but with a slightly different design. So here in British English, we will call this a skip. Skip. So there is a very subtle difference. Unwanted items such as old cars and washing machines are referred to as junk. Junk. Quite often, things we throw out, normally large things or mechanical things that are no longer useful, quite often things made of metal, might be described as junk. Or of course we can call it scrap as well. Another word we can use besides junk. The place where refuse is finally left is called a tip. So we can describe the place where all of the rubbish, all of the trash is taken to be permanently disposed of. We can call it a tip. Quite often in British English we will use the term tip. In American English, quite often they will say dump. They will go to the dump. We will go to the tip. Although having said that, in British English we can often say dump as well. It can also be used for another reason as well. The word dump is a slang term for going for a poo-poo. It's true, I'm not joking. So in British English, when we say that we are going for a dump, it doesn't mean we are going to visit the tip. It means something quite different. A recycling depot will deal with the items that can be reused. Things that can be reused, things that can be used again, recycled. Quite often we talk about plastic. So these days many people are concerned about the way in which plastic is produced and used and disposed of. So you might say that plastic is one of the big problems when it comes to environmental issues. A lot of people, of course, are very concerned about that. We have some phrases now. Would you like to see some phrases connected to rubbish and trash? Here's our first one. You take out the trash. If you take out the trash, this can be used as a phrase to mean dispose of an unwanted thing. Maybe a person who is staying in your house and you kick them out. You might say that you are taking out the trash. You are removing something that is unwanted. You take out the trash. Quite often used in American English. Here's another phrase. This particular phrase is often used in British English. We use it quite often. Something is a load of rubbish. When we describe something as a load of rubbish, we mean a terrible thing or something that has been done badly. So maybe you go along to see a show or a performance, but it is terrible. It is being done so badly, so dreadfully. It is awful. You might describe that thing as a load of rubbish, something that is of poor quality or not very good or not very well done.